24th of January, 1945, Wednesday, 0 degrees Celsius, very cloudy, calm, and snowing. The Soviet Red Army completed the encirclement of Budapest a month prior to this day.
János Pentelényi,
34-years-old engineer Buda, District 2, Bem Square, Radetzky Barracks.
In the morning, due to the heavy gunfire, we couldn't leave the gate or enter the barracks. By 6 p.m., I went to Lukács Bath and found a group of about 100 forced laborers equipped with saws, picks, and shovels. Under heavy mortar fire, we went out to the Danube bank. It was snowing. We picked at the frozen ground and had to saw off the edges of the railway sleepers to dig a trench between the tracks and the sidewalk. We came under machine gun fire from Margit Island and Pest. We lay in the snow for half an hour. When it quieted down a bit, we continued working. Around midnight, we came under terrible machine gun fire. We lay on the ground for an hour and a half in the 8 to 10 degrees C cold. Mortars whistled overhead, and with each one, I thought it was going to hit me. We shivered in constant fear of death, but most of the mines exploded in front of the houses of Lukács Bath. God, if only I could get out of this hell, I sighed, constantly thinking of my family. From my own perspective, I wouldn't have minded losing my life. Later, the machine gun fire subsided, so we took our tools and retreated to the buildings. The guards, buried up to their waists, remained there in the night, watching the Pest site to see if the Russians would attack from the Danube. I returned home exhausted, and only after knocking for a long time was I allowed in through the gate.
Neseu László,
15 years old. Buda, District 1, Mészáros Street 32.
P told me that the man who committed suicide at their place is still not buried, because they're shooting and bombing so much that they don't dare dig a grave for him. The 82-year-old man who broke his leg died of sepsis. A parachute landed on their house and cut through the ceiling. A spy came to our place 2 days ago. There are so many spies. They let the spies go because they only realize afterwards, oh, this one was a spy too. If you go out in the garden, they shoot at you immediately. The nobles play a game where they stick a lamp out of the window in the evening, count to 3, and then pull it back in. By the time they count to 5, there's already an explosion nearby. I would like to play that game too, but you can't say anything about it in the shelter.
Gyula Riterati Lóc,
23-year-old First Lieutenant Margit Island.
On January 24th, Waller was relieved of his command, presumably due to the lack of success, and Sturmbannführer Bartsch was appointed as the new commander of the island. The German forces numbered around 300 men, but they were so exhausted that the Russians were gaining ground step by step. A Soviet artillery observer was stationed in the water tower, directing mortar and artillery fire from Pest and Buda. Approximately 6,000 mortar and artillery shells were landing on the small area still in our hands every hour. According to German experts, such a concentration of fire on such a small area had not been observed anywhere else during the entire war. German losses were high.
János Tolnai,
15 years old. District 12.
Kis János Altábor Nagy Street.
Ultimately, our attempt at an independent water supply failed, even though our excruciating thirst caused us greater suffering than our hunger. It's true that each family got 1.5 liters from the water that appeared in the well, but it soon turned out that it was unfit for drinking. Groundwater. It was so disgusting that I felt nauseous just from the smell. We continued to starve. My little brother Gyurika cried a lot from hunger, and my intestines felt like they were sticking together. My stomach ached as if it were about to burst. My parents and Terry felt the lack of food similarly, but none of them complained. It would have been pointless anyway. In one of the compartments at the end of the cellar covered in sand, I found a large potato. We ate the whole thing, leaving the larger slice for Gyurika. We held the delicious morsel in our mouths for a long time, wanting to savor the taste, but the happiness of eating made us even hungrier. In recent days, shrapnel grenades have been flying more and more frequently. Not all of them explode on impact. Some of them land half embedded in the asphalt of the street, resting with their jagged tailpieces sticking out. When moving around the street, I had to be very careful not to stumble into these dead mines, as it would certainly mean death. I was walking at the corner of our street and noticed a small group of men. When I got there, I saw that they were waiting for the last moments of a horse wounded by shrapnel. I joined the waiting crowd. As soon as the animal kicked for the last time, everyone started tearing the horse apart, almost like savages. I managed to cut out a large piece of meat from the horse carcass with my dull but always carried pocket knife. Thus, only the skin and skeleton remained of the poor creature after the group's work. The horse meat was a festive lunch for the family because I managed to get a liter of good water from a neighbor, on loan, to cook the stew-like dish. Finally, I could eat my fill.